Have you ever been in the situation where despite your best efforts, you just can't make someone else happy? Well, today I want to tackle this because ultimately you are not responsible for the happiness of anyone else. Now this might sound harsh because this anyone else includes your partner, includes your kids, includes your family members. And I'm going to explain what I mean, and I'm also going to help you understand how a little bit of self-preservation, a little bit of self-care can make your own life easier and reduce stress, and not only that, improve your own mental health. So stick with me. Now, to set some premise, set the stage for this, I want to tell you about two different situations. Now, 3 years ago, I separated from my longtime partner, mother of my kids, because I was fundamentally unhappy. And not long ago, she confessed to having been unhappy about the fact that she just couldn't make me happy. Now, I'd known for some years that someone else can't make you happy. Yes, they can bring you moments of joy and feel good times, but they cannot fundamentally make you happy, and neither can you with somebody else. Because happiness is an inside job. Now, I told my ex at the time that, you can't make anyone else happy. You were wasting your time. I was fundamentally unhappy. So there was going to be nothing that she could do that was going to change that. I was a mess. I was unhappy. And unfortunately, she saw it as her role to make me happy. And she was on a highway to nowhere there. But a more recent example is a couple, a friend of mine. They've recently separated, and she was feeling like a failure because she couldn't make her husband happy to the point where he would stay. And I had to remind her that it's not her responsibility to make her husband happy. Happiness is an inside job, and that her feelings of despondence and having let him down were misplaced. Because ultimately, if he's not happy, and he hasn't been happy for a couple of years, then no matter what she does, his internal system is not going to bring up happy because of what she does. Because he is, and like me, I was fundamentally unhappy. And there was nothing that my ex-wife or this friend of mine could have done to change that until me and this other friend of mine realized that they were unhappy and begun to make the change. Now, here's the big deal. Taking on somebody else's emotional state and their happiness is ultimately self-sabotage. And it can do a lot of damage to your own feeling of self-worth, your own mental health, and can lead to burnout and all kinds of other issues. It's really not good for you. So what should you do about this? And this is a toughie, and so please bear with me, but I am going to try and explain this through. First things first is to acknowledge to yourself that someone else's happiness is up to them, and set that boundary. Set that boundary for yourself. Yes, it's okay to try and have fun with somebody. Yes, it's okay to try and have good times and have joyful moments. But their mental state is not your responsibility. Their sense of happiness is not up to you, it's up to them. And the sooner you begin to internalize this fact, the better off you're going to be. The sooner you set that boundary, the better off you're going to be. And it's a case of self-care, looking after you. Now, as I said in another video, putting yourself first a bit more is not selfish, it's self-care. When you're on an airplane, the safety message says if the cabin decompresses for whatever reason, masks will come down. Put your own on first, and then tackle your family. Why? Because if you're suffering, you're not going to be able to help anybody else. And the thing is, with this boundary, you're not letting anybody down. You're not doing any of that. You're not being less of a carer to somebody. You don't care any less. You're just realizing that something about them, their happiness, is something you can't change. And setting this boundary means that you'll be spending a little more time looking after your own mental well-being. It might seem tough, it might seem mean, but boundaries are not horrible. They're not cruel. They are freedom. So how do you make a start on this? Well, a big deal is just learning to say no. realizing that you don't have to run around like crazy trying to satisfy someone else's needs. Now, of course, if this is your kids, that's a different story. Yes, you want to provide, protect, and nurture your children, but your partner or adults, no. You're not there to be at someone else's beck and call, and if you are, there's something seriously wrong here. So, begin by saying no. You don't need to explain, just start to set some boundaries. Start small, start with little things, and just work up. Now here's the thing, it's tempting to feel bad for saying no, but don't. You're choosing you, and choosing you is always a good investment. Self-care is always a good investment, because the better you are, the better you are going to be for other people. The stronger you are, the stronger you will be for others. Now here's the thing, if you give everything away, you've nothing to give. You can't give to somebody what you don't have. And if you don't have a good mental state, you're not going to be able to help anybody else's with theirs. Now here's the big thing. Letting go of this responsibility for someone else's happiness is empowerment for you. It really is empowerment for you. It's not your job to make everybody smile. You're not someone else's puppet. You're there to be the best version of you, so you can be the best version for everybody else. But it starts with you. And you can't force happiness onto other people. If they're fundamentally unhappy, there's not going to be a great deal you can do. You could spend your whole life. It'll lead to burnout, and it'll lead to all kinds of mental health issues for you. It will destroy your self-worth if you feel that someone else's happiness depends on you, and you can't do it. As it's done with my friend. Her self-esteem has plummeted because she felt that her husband's happiness was her responsibility. And now he's gone, she feels like a failure. And that's not the case at all. And I'm really hoping that she can get over this and begin to see the wisdom in the fact that he was unhappy. He'd been miserable for a couple of years. And yes, the consequences of that was them splitting up, but it's not her fault. His unhappiness, his misery, his mental state was not her responsibility. And someone else's happiness and mental state is not yours. And the sooner you get to grips with this, the better you'll be. And it doesn't matter who it is a close friend, family member, or your partner. Remember, self-care is a good investment. And no, you're not being selfish. You're prioritizing your own mental health while enabling the person you're trying to help to look after theirs. Most people figure it out. And if they don't, well, that's up to them and not you. It sounds harsh, sounds cruel, especially if this is your husband, wife, partner. Okay, it sounds mean, but it's not. Most grown-ups realize that their emotional state and their mental well-being is up to them. Yes, you can share the journey. Yes, you can encourage, support one another. But taking responsibility for someone else's emotional state, that's crazy. And that's self-sabotage for you. So here's my homework for you. If this has hit home for you and you feel that you may be taking on too much responsibility for someone else's emotional state, reflect on this. Write a comment below if this is you. You don't have to go into detail, but I'm here to try and help, and I might be able to point you in the direction of some resources that could help. But ultimately, it's about being a grown-up, recognizing that self-care is not selfish. Also realizing that someone else's happiness and mental state is not your responsibility. You cannot, and never will you, make someone else happy if their default happiness state isn't there. It's not up to you. My ex couldn't do it for me, and my friend couldn't do it for her husband. Just doesn't work. So if this has hit home, hit the like button, write comments below. It would be great to hear from you. I'm really, really happy to help. But remember this, happiness is an inside job. Someone else's happiness is not your responsibility, it's theirs.